Oh, the police are identifying the shooter as a trans woman, would actually be a trans man. So there's sort of a misidentification there, but this is all new. I'm just wondering, the identity of being a transgender person and also being identified as a woman, does this pose any sort of difference or difficulty for police, because it's not typically a woman, regardless of how they're identifying? So there are a couple of things here that are different and that we are going to have to talk about. And
I didn't think it was going to come this quick, but it's already here. The mainstream liberal media is already spewing their nonsense. Because the shooter yesterday, a biological woman, identified as a man, pronouns he, him, Don Lemon wants to know if the police are going to find it more difficult to investigate it. After all, these types of crimes aren't typical of women. Who cares if it was a woman or a man? Who cares if the woman walked around and said she was a man? No one cares. How about the innocent lives that were lost? 3 children and 3 adults in a Christian school. They're all worried about the trans community now. Are attacks going to go on the uptick against the trans community? Oh no. Let's not care about the innocent victims that were killed. Let's worry about the transgender community because the shooter happened to be trans. It's absolute nonsense. I don't care, male, female, black, white, blue, green, Hispanic, Latino, Jewish, whatever. The crime was committed by a mentally ill person with a legal firearm. And if you watched a lot of the news media coverage today, this shooter's parents, I'm not even going to say her name, did tell the police, and the police brought this out at a press conference, that she was being treated for a mental illness. So yes, we need different gun laws. We need ways to stop people who are being treated for mental illness from purchasing firearms. But they're all going to blame the MAGA Republicans. It's the Republicans' fault. They don't care about the kids. They care about guns. When the Democrats, all they care about is taking little children and turning them into something they cannot become. And I'm sick and tired of hearing this. That's all the Democratic Party and the mainstream liberal media is concerned about. Not only world news, local news is worried about it too. So have a look at this clip.
Hale, who police say identifies as transgender. That news has already prompted some attacks against the trans community. KPRC2's Bryce Newberry picks up our coverage from here.
Demonstrators at the Texas State Capitol Monday fighting against anti-trans bills being considered by state lawmakers as news broke that the Nashville school shooter identifies as transgender.
It doesn't excuse anything that happened. I am concerned about how opposition and people who are anti-trans will try to spin this.
Concern about tweets like this from GOP Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, writing, "How much hormones like testosterone and medications for mental illness was the transgender Nashville school shooter taking? Everyone can stop blaming guns now."
The comparison of they did it because they're trans is very unfair to trans people.
Andrea Segovia from the Transgender Education Network of Texas joined Monday's battle at the Capitol, fighting House Bill 1686, which would block doctors from providing gender transition health care treatment to children. Now, with another reason for the Texas trans community to be in the spotlight and at least 2 months remaining of the legislative session, advocates worry the attacks aren't over.
You can't say that because one person did something that's a characteristic or reason to be cruel to trans people.
So again, even local news, the news that the shooter identified as transgender has already prompted some attacks on the transgender community, according to that so-called journalist. You've got to be kidding me. And they're all upset because Marjorie Taylor Greene put out a tweet that basically said this person was transgender on hormones, testosterone. What other kind of medications were they on being treated for a mental illness? So you can stop blaming the guns now. That wasn't finger pointing at the trans community. What it was the truth. This person was being treated for a mental illness. Is that mental illness the cause of her trans issue? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. But of course, the left is going to say that tweet was a direct attack against the trans community. Then you saw the hundreds of people gathered in Texas. They're fighting over a bill that, if passed, will stop doctors from being able to perform any type of transgender affirming surgery or give hormones to minors. Why are these people so insistent on harming children? Why can't they just let these kids grow up and be who they want to be? And when they're 18 years old, if they want to do this, go ahead. You're a legal adult. It's a Christian school with Christian children and employees, one being a custodian, two being teachers, were murdered by a mentally ill person. But the mainstream liberal media is going to make it out to be that that person was confused because they were transgender and they know that everybody hates transgender people. That's where this is going to go. It's going to be blamed on all the Republicans or right-thinking people, if you will, that whatever her name was again, I almost slipped. I'm not saying her name. But she did what she did because she couldn't handle the pressure of everybody being against trans people when no one is against trans people. What people are against are the propaganda and the shoving of this down our throats. We are against harming young children. Children at the age of 2, 3, 5, 10 do not know that they want to be a girl or they want to be a boy. I've talked about this before. Just because a little boy plays with his sister's dolls and clothes doesn't mean he's transgender. But the parents of the world today will say, oh, we always knew he wanted to be a girl. What is wrong with these people? This is nothing more than a push by the left-wing media, liberal media, to blame something. They have to blame somebody. They're not going to blame the mentally ill person, but they're going to blame the guns that she legally purchased. Do I think common sense gun laws should be passed? Absolutely. The federal government needs to strengthen the way background checks are done. There's got to be a way to find out if people are being treated for a mental illness. That alone should stop someone from legally buying a firearm, even though we all know if you really want a gun, you're going to get one no matter what. But they're going to say it's the guns that are killing the people, and that poor shooter was just confused because nobody liked her. I am tired of this liberal bullshit. Joe Biden made such an ass out of this country yesterday with the ice cream jokes at the beginning of his press conference. I talked about it. People were murdered by a mentally ill person. And he's talking about chocolate chip ice cream, and I'm Dr. Jill Biden's husband. What the hell is wrong with these people? And they're going to come out and keep saying it. Republicans don't care about kids. They care about guns. Well, they care about guns because they care about law-abiding citizens being able to own firearms and not having Joe Biden's militia come and take them away. Oh, they care about kids because their kids are going to these schools too. And their kids could have been in that school. But they're not worried. The Democrats aren't worried about the Christians. They're not worried about Christian people being attacked now. They're worried about the transgender community being attacked because one of their own committed such a heinous crime. I said this last night, and I'll say it again. Those police officers who went in that building within 14 minutes and confronted and killed the shooter are absolute heroes. Absolute. They didn't wait outside for 2 hours like Uvalde. They got the call. They armed up and they went in and they took out the threat and they saved countless lives. But the Democrats will not applaud the heroic efforts of the police. They're more concerned about the transgender community and what's going to happen to them now. This is absolute, this is the most disgusting thing that I've heard. It came out again today. I thought it would be a little longer before they started this, but they couldn't wait. Especially Don Lemon, he couldn't wait. We need to discuss this more. Shut the hell up and stop worrying about all people, all races. If you're transgender, no one gives a shit. Stop the propaganda and shoving this down our throats because we don't care. Leave the kids alone. Let them figure it out when they grow up. Stop destroying lives. And that's all I'm going to say about this. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't liked this video, hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit the notification bell. Share this video with someone. I appreciate that. Hope everybody's healthy and safe. I'll see you soon. Have a great night.